The first question is from Sandra. Myself and my husband both have both are 72 and have an SMSF. We both have 3 individual pension accounts in our fund. I've paid out the required minimum pensions, minimum amounts for this year as per our accountant's instructions. I've taken a lump sum of 110,000 out for each of us to make a non-concessional contribution before 30th of June. So our accountant will be commencing an accumulation account for both of us for that deposit. The question is, can I instruct my accountant which pension to take the $110,000 out of? I want them to take it out of the pension fund with a 90% taxable amount. If the answer is no, that must mean the ATO regard every pension account as one fund. I can't find any reference to this on the ATO site. Also, if people have multiple industry funds, does this apply to them as well? So with that, over to you, Garth.
Thanks, Rob, and certainly a big question to start off with. But Sandra, thank you for sending in your question. And look, initially, yeah, this is certainly possible. So long as we look at the required process, we meet the admin requirements, and all of those are addressed appropriately, this actually could work. So let's first of all look at how these rules work, how they operate, and what needs to be done. So first of all, you can only ever have one accumulation account per super fund. And deed permitting, you can have multiple pensions, as many pensions as you like, really, within your self-managed fund. It's quite common, as you've indicated, in your current situation with multiple pensions being run. And each of those pension accounts and each of your accumulation account and each of those pension accounts are treated separately. They're referred to as separate member interests. And for the pensions, each of those pensions has its own minimum pension requirement. So you can request payments to be made from each member interest in isolation from those other interests. What I mean by that is, if you have a quick look at the slide there, you've got the Jones family fund, 2 members, Dave and Debbie, and you'll see that David's got an accumulation account and a pension account. Debbie's got an accumulation account and 2 pension accounts. The term account is the same as interest. So David's got 2 interests, Debbie has 3. And if you do it appropriately, if you follow the required process, you can request payments to be made in isolation from each of those separate interests. Now, first of all, to address your question, each payment that is made from a pension account must be treated as a pension payment, unless you request in writing and before the payment's made that the amount being paid out is to be treated as a lump sum payment, otherwise referred to as a commutation. So every payment made from a pension account needs to be treated as a pension payment unless we ask for it before the payment's made to be a lump sum. And you could then say in that request for the lump sum from which member interest you want that lump sum to be paid. As you said, you would make the request for it to be paid from pension A or from pension B or from my accumulation account. Have that request in writing, detailing how much you want that lump sum to be, and as I mentioned, from which account the payments to be made. So just have a look at your member statements. It will say pension number 1 or pension A or pension B or pension 2. Just put that in the written requests. And then once you've made that written request, the trustees would then have a minute resolving, trustee resolution, resolving to pay that as requested. Look, I've got here a couple of sample documents, a lump sum withdrawal application request, and the minutes of a meeting where you would authorize that payment. Beware, these are simple examples. Don't go and just print these out and use them. but I've included them to show you what would usually be included within the request and within the resolution. And you'll see that it matches what we discussed in those previous slides. Just check your own fund, check your fund trustee. It may have its own sample documents which you can use, or it might have wording that needs to be included. I've just put these there to show you what they look like in order for that process to be followed. Again, if you want to have a look at more at this, jump on the website and have a look at the Q&A around what's required when making lump sum withdrawals. It's a video from a prior webinar, and there's also we covered a lot of this in an earlier webinar in July last year around an introduction to self-managed funds and what that paperwork process looks like. So look, I hope that answers your question.